Good morning and happy Friday. Today, I think it's January 11th. So we're going to continue with Genesis. And as always, here's our prayer for the morning before we read. Father, as I read and receive your word, may it deeply be rooted in me. So when difficulty comes, it will be your word that encourages and strengthens me. Okay, so chapter 17. Abram is named Abraham. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, I am God Almighty. Serve me faithfully and live a blameless life. I will make a covenant with you by which I will guarantee to make you into a mighty nation. At this, Abram fell face down in the dust. Then God said to him, This is my covenant with you. I will make you the father of not just one nation, but a multitude of nations. What's more, I am changing your name. It will no longer be Abram. Now you'll be known as Abraham, for you will be the father of many nations. I will give you millions of descendants who will represent many nations. Kings will be among them. I will continue this everlasting covenant between us, generation after generation. It will continue between me and your offspring forever, and I will always be your God and the God of your descendants after you. Yes, I will give all this land of Canaan to you and to your offspring forever, and I will be their God. The sign of circumcision. Your part of the agreement, God told Abraham, is to obey the terms of the covenant. You and all your descendants have this continual responsibility. This is a covenant that you and your descendants must keep. Each male among you must be circumcised. The flesh of his foreskin must be cut off. This will be a sign that you and they have accepted this covenant. Every male child must be circumcised on the 8th day after his birth. This applies not only to members of your family, but also to the servants born in your household and the foreign-born servants whom you have purchased. All must be circumcised. Your bodies will thus bear the mark of my everlasting covenant. Anyone who refuses to be circumcised will be cut off from the covenant family for violating the covenant. Sarai is named Sarah. Then God added, regarding Sarai, your wife, her name will no longer be Sarai. From now on, you will call her Sarah. And I will bless her and give you a son from her. Yes, I will bless her richly, and she will become the mother of many nations. Kings will be among her descendants. Then Abraham bowed down to the ground, and he laughed to himself in disbelief. How could I become a father at the age of 100? He wondered. Besides, Sarah's 90. How could she have a baby? And Abram said to God, Yes, my Ishmael, enjoy your special blessings. But God replied, Sarah, your wife, will bear you a son. You will name him Isaac, and I will confirm my everlasting covenant with him and his descendants. As for Ishmael, I will bless him also, just as you have asked. I will cause him to multiply and become a great nation. 12 princes will be among his descendants, but my covenant was with Isaac, who will be born to you and Sarah about this time next year. That ended the conversation, and God left Abraham. On that very day, Abraham took his son Ishmael and every other male in his household and circumcised them, cutting off their foreskins, exactly as God had told him. Abraham was 99 years old at that time, and Ishmael his son was 13. Both were circumcised the same day, along with all the other men and boys of the household, whether they were born there or brought as servants. Chapter 18. A son promised to Sarah. The Lord appeared again to Abraham while he was camped near the oak grove belonging to Mamre. One day about noon, as Abraham was sitting at the entrance of his tent, he suddenly noticed 3 men standing nearby. He got up and ran to meet them, welcoming them by bowing low to the ground. My lord, he said, if it pleases you, stop here for a while. Rest in the shade of this tree while my servants get some water to wash your feet. Let me prepare some food to refresh you. Please stay a while before continuing on your journey. All right, they said, do as you have said. So Abram ran back to the tent and said to Sarah, Quick, get 3 measures of your best flour and bake some bread." Then Abraham ran out to the herd and chose a fat calf and told his servant to hurry and butcher it. When the food was ready, he took some cheese curds and milk and the roasted meat, and he served it to the men. As they ate, Abraham waited on them 3 beneath the trees. "Where is Sarah your wife?" they asked him. "In the tent," Abraham replied. Then one of them said, "About this time next year I will return, and your wife Sarah will have a son." Now Sarah was listening to this conversation from the tent nearby, and since Abraham and Sarah were both very old, and Sarah was long past the age of having children, she laughed silently to herself. "How could a worn-out woman like me have a baby?" she thought. "And when my master, my husband, is also so old?" When the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh?" Why did she say, "Can an old woman like me have a baby?" Is anything too hard for the Lord? About a year from now, just as I told you, I will return and Sarah will have a son. Sarah was afraid, so she denied that she had a laugh, but he said, "This is not true. You did laugh." Abraham intercedes for Sodom. Then the men got up from their meal and started on towards Sodom. Abraham went with them part of the way. "Should I hide my plan from Abraham?" the Lord asked. "For Abraham will become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed through him. I have singled him out so that he will direct his sons and their families to keep the way of the Lord and do what is right and just. That I will do for him all that I have promised." So the Lord told Abraham, "I have heard that the people of Sodom and Gomorrah are extremely evil, and that everything they do is wicked. I'm going down to see whether or not these reports are true, and then I will know." The other 2 men went on towards Sodom, but the Lord remained with Abraham for a while. Abraham approached him and said, "Will you destroy both innocent and guilty alike? Suppose you find 50 innocent people there within the city. Will you destroy it and not spare it for their sakes? Surely you wouldn't do such a thing, destroying the innocent with the guilty? Why, you would be treating the innocent and the guilty exactly the same. Surely you wouldn't do that. Should not the judge of all the earth do what is right?" And the Lord replied, "If I find 50 innocent people in Sodom, I will spare the entire city for their sake." Then Abraham spoke again. "Since I have begun, let me go on and speak further to my Lord, even though I am but dust and ashes. Suppose there are only 45. Will you destroy the city for lack of 5? The Lord said, "I will not destroy if I find 45. Abraham pressed his request further. "Suppose there are only 40. And the Lord replied, "I will not destroy it if there are 40. "Please don't be angry, my Lord," Abraham pleaded. "Let me speak. Suppose there are only 30 found. And the Lord replied, "I will not destroy it if there are 30. Then Abraham spoke, "Since I have dared to speak to the Lord, let me continue. Suppose there are only 20. And the Lord said, "Then I will not destroy it for the sake of the 20. Finally Abraham said, "Lord, please do not get angry. I will speak but once more. But suppose there are only 10 found there." Then the Lord said, "Then for the sake of the 10 I will not destroy it." The Lord went on his way when he had finished the conversation with Abraham, and Abraham returned to his tent. Chapter 19. Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. That evening the 2 angels came to the entrance of the city of Sodom, and Lot was sitting there as they arrived. When he saw them, he stood up to meet them. Then he welcomed them and bowed to the ground. "My lords," he said, "come to my home to wash your feet and be my guests for the night. You may then get up in the morning as early as you like and be on your way again." "Oh no," they said, "we'll just spend the night out here in the city square." But Lot insisted. So at last they went home with him. He set a great feast before them, complete with fresh bread made without yeast. After the meal, as they were preparing to retire for the night, all the men of Sodom, young and old, came from all over the city and surrounded the house. They shouted to Lot, "Where are the men who came to spend the night with you? Bring them out so we can have sex with them." Lot stepped outside to talk to them, shutting the door behind them. "Please, my brothers," he begged, "don't do such a wicked thing. Look, I have 2 virgin daughters. Do with them as you wish. But leave these men alone, for they are under my protection." "Stand back," they shouted. "Who do you think you are? We let you settle among us, and now you are trying to tell us what to do? We'll treat you far worse than those other men." And they lunged at Lot and began breaking down the door. But the two angels reached out and pulled Lot in and bolted the door. Then they blinded the men of Sodom so they couldn't find the doorway. "Do you have any other relatives here in the city?" the angel asked. "Get them out of this place. Sons-in-law, daughters, and or anyone else, for we will destroy the city completely. The stench of the place has reached the Lord, and he has sent us to destroy it." So Lot rushed out to tell his daughter's fiancés, "Quick, get out of the city, the Lord is going to destroy it." But the young men thought he was only joking. At dawn the next morning, the angels came back insistent. "Hurry," they said to Lot. "Take your wife, your 2 daughters who are here. Get out of here right now, or you will be caught in the destruction of the city." When Lot still hesitated, the angel seized his hand and the hand of his wife and 2 daughters and rushed them to safety outside the city. For the Lord was merciful. "Run for your lives," the angels warned. "Do not stop anywhere in the valley and don't look back. Escape to the mountains or you will die." "Oh no, my Lord, please," Lot begged. "You have been so kind to me and saved my life, and you have granted me such mercy, but I cannot go to the mountains. Disaster would catch up to me there, and I would soon die. See, there is a small village nearby. Please let me go there instead. Don't you see how small it is? Then my life will be saved." "All right," the angel said, "I will grant your request. I will not destroy that little village. But hurry, for I can do nothing until you are there." From that time on, the village was known as Zor. The sun was rising as Lot reached the village. Then the Lord rained down fire and burning sulfur from heaven on Sodom and Gomorrah. He utterly destroyed them, along with the other cities and villages in the plain, eliminating all life, people, plants, and animals alike. But Lot's wife looked back as she was following him along behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. The next morning Abraham was up early and hurried out to the place where he had stood in the Lord's presence. He looked out across the plain to Sodom and Gomorrah and saw columns of smoke and fumes, as from a furnace, rising from the cities there. But God had listened to Abraham's request and kept Lot safe, removing him from the disaster that engulfed the cities of the plain. Lot and his daughters. Afterward, Lot left Zor because he was afraid of the people there, and he went to live in the cave in the mountains with his own 2 daughters. One day the older daughter said to her sister, "There isn't a man anywhere in the entire city for us to marry, and our father will soon be too old to have children. Come, let's get him drunk with wine, and then we will sleep with him. That way we will preserve our family line through our father." So that night they got him drunk, and the older daughters went in and slept with their father. He was unaware of their lying down or getting up again. The next morning the older daughter said to her younger sister, "I slept with our father last night. Let's get him drunk with wine again tonight and go in and sleep with him. That way our family line will be preserved." So that night they got him drunk again, and the younger daughter went in and slept with him. As before, he was unaware of their lying down or getting up again. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. When the older daughter gave birth to a son, she named him Moab. He became the ancestor of the nations known as the Moabites. When the younger daughter gave birth to a son, she named him Ben-Ami. He became the ancestor of the nation known as the Ammonites. All right, so we did 3 chapters today. And that's everything. We will continue chapter 20 tomorrow. I hope you all have a blessed day. Make great choices and bless somebody today. Have a good one. Bye.